We are building. I never use the word rebuilding or anything like that. It's the National Football League. You don't have enough. There's not 5 years to do that, so we know that. I think there's a process that we're trying to go through. Certainly slower and more painful than anybody wants it to be. We share the same sentiment, but it is what it is.
All right, so Raiders owner Mark Davis spoke with ESPN. Here's what he had to say. People in today's world want instant gratification. The guys coached 9 games. We're 2-7. Not the results we're looking for, but at the same time, we've lost 6 one-score games with the ball and a chance to win at the end. I gave him my vote of confidence when I signed him to the contract to be coach of the Raiders. That's when I gave it to him. Rome was not built in a day. Okay. Mina.
Well, before we even move forward, Rome was not built in a day. The Raiders haven't been built in 2 decades. You can go ahead, Mina.
Okay. Mina, tell me this. What's the biggest problem facing this team right now?
Everything is the correct answer. I know you want me to point to one thing, but the reality is this is an organizational failure. It's team-wide. I'll talk about Josh McDaniels and his offense in a second, but this is, by many metrics, the worst defense in the NFL. Now, we probably should have expected that, some of the personnel issues, particularly on the back end, but they have underperformed in just about every metric. That's on coaching, that's on the players, that's also on the GM for the players that they put in place. Offensively, look, they do deserve some leeway because Derek Carr, Josh Jacobs, Darren Waller, Hunter Renfrow, and Devontae Adams were supposed to be this dominant offensive unit. They've only played about 40 snaps together. This is a team that's been racked by injuries. That said, Josh McDaniels' offense and Derek Carr, seemingly there is a disconnect there. I'll say also the lack of pass protection is an issue as well. Ultimately, I guess, considering all of it, you would put it on McDaniels because he is the head coach. We are seeing sloppy execution, penalties, blown leads, but this goes way beyond him, which is why it must be immensely frustrating for Raiders fans, because if it was just the head coach, it would be a lot easier.
Well, I would say, one, Mark Davis saying instant gratification. Well, yeah, in this world, yes. That's why you got rid of Rich Bisaccia, who took your team to the playoffs because you wanted instant gratification to move on to the next. This isn't the Chicago Bears.
That's right.
They didn't rip this program down to bare bones like Ryan Poles did in Chicago, where they have nothing. Mina, you just said all those players on offense, right? They have yet to fix the back end of the defense. That was a problem under John Gruden and the Raiders. They've yet to fix that, but they went out and they spent money in different places on the defensive side of the ball. But you're still in the same position. And I only can point to one thing, and I hate to do this, but Josh McDaniels. That's the only person I can point to. Because when I look at his stint in Denver, what was the problem? Josh McDaniels. And now all of a sudden he comes over to the Raiders, and it's all hell that broke loose, and he's with the Raiders. I get it. You don't want to ever point the finger at one person, but in this situation, the buck stopped, and it's all hell that broke loose, and he's with the Raiders. I get it. You don't want to ever point the finger at one person, but in this situation, the buck stops with him. Okay, at the end of the day, he's aligned with the general manager. But the general manager wouldn't be there if Josh didn't want him to be there. They came over from New England in a package deal together. They made that decision. But yet and still, this team is 2-7. And I understand, in this league, you lose by a touchdown. That's a big number. That is a big number. There's something needs to be done. You're supposed to lose by 3 or 4 points. Not every single time you look up by a touchdown or a little bit more. It all starts upstairs with the coaching staff for me. It really does.
Well, let me say this. You're absolutely right, because that's where I was going to go. Mina, you're absolutely right as well. When you talk about their defense is horrid, when we talk about issues with the offensive line, when you talk about Derek Carr and Josh McDaniels not being on the same page. And I'm not going to let owner Mark Davis off the hook. I want Mark Davis, who I've met a couple of times, I actually like. I want to say this on national television to Mark Davis. That was one of the dumbest quotes I've ever seen an owner make. That was just stupid. You're not stupid. You're not dumb. But the quote you gave was one of the dumbest quotes I've ever seen from an owner. Your team was just in the playoffs last year. Bisaccia went 7-5 in the 12 games he coached. They won the last 4 games during the regular season to get to the postseason. And it was a competitive playoff game against the Bengals, if I remember correctly.
Yes, yeah.
The fact of the matter is, the last 5 weeks of the 2021 season, we saw a playoff team. We saw a playoff caliber quarterback who elevated himself to being the true face of that franchise because of the manner in which he led the team after all of that adversity from John Gruden to Hugs and all of these guys and all of that stuff that happened. The fact of the matter is Derek Carr was the leader. You said that's not where we want to go. You went out and got Josh McDanield, and suddenly y'all can't win close games. Y'all are 2-7. We're halfway through the season, and your season is over. The team doesn't even look like they want to be on the field. We now have no doubt half of them want to be in Vegas because most of them want to be in Vegas. We get that. They don't want to be on the football field, okay? And it's very glaring, very conspicuous, very evident. And so as a result, Keyshawn's not wrong about Josh McDaniels. Mina Kimes is not wrong about Derek Carr and Josh McDaniels and what you're lacking. But it ultimately comes back to you, Mark Davis, because when you give an idiotic, unquestionably an idiotic quote like that in Vegas, Sin City, where people go to make their dreams come true, even if it's just for one night or 1 week or 1 month, you going to tell everybody Rome was not built in a day? That's got to be the dumbest quote that I've ever seen from an owner. It was stupid. And what you need to do is call the reporters back and retract that damn quote and make sure that you say something more sensible and accountable for the atrocity that you got going on. Because you got cats that don't want to be in a Raiders uniform. What happened to just win, baby? What happened to the silver and black? What happened to that pride? What happened to all of that? It's trash right now. And you're going to tell the people Rome wasn't built in a day? I mean, that's just pathetic. I'm going to say it one last time. The dumbest quote I have seen in recent memory from an owner. Just dumb.
It might have not been the smartest thing to say, I would say.
It was dumb.
But the instant gratification is what puzzled me, because that's why you fire a coach, is to get things going in the right direction, unless you're just going to do like the Chicago Bears and break it all the way down to the bone.
Why should Vegas, Mina? Why should Vegas have any faith in the Raiders when your owner's like, ain't Rome one built in a day? Just be patient, y'all. When you were just in the playoffs. You were just in the playoffs.
I think you're absolutely right to put this on the owner. I actually wish I did, because earlier I was like, this is the defense, the offense, the GM, the head coach, the quarterback, all of it. But really, you're right. Who is at the top of that pyramid? It is the owner. It is the owner whose decisions have ultimately led them to this point. And to Keyshawn's point, this should not be a rebuilding team. You can't ask fans to be patient coming out of the season you have with the roster you have in Vegas.
Let's not minimize Vegas.
Certainly.
Vegas is not a place where you preach patience.
What would you like him to have said, Stephen A? What would you like him to have said?
We have underachieved.
Yeah,
I'm very alarmed by this.
We got to
get this right.
Yeah.
That's what you say to Vegas.
Molly, 2 months ago, I had on my calendar Vegas, Indianapolis versus Raiders. Oh, I'm going. I looked up the other day. I said, no, I will not be going. And I wind up staying in New York because of that. That just goes to show you. I'm a Raider fan.
Wow.
I'm a Raider fan. So,
the Raiders.
That's how bad
I passed up Vegas to stay in New York. Yes. That lets you know how mad I am.
Yeah, well, listen, when we heard about when the Raiders was winning football game, we like, damn, there's another excuse to come to Vegas. Now we wait for the big fights again. And that's why we wait for the big fights. The answer ain't involving the Raiders. Who wants to go see the Raiders?
Since they've been in Las Vegas, the only good part is when Rich Bisaccia was coaching that team.
That is correct.
That's the only good part.
And you changed
That's it.
And you got rid of him to get Josh McDaniel, and then going to say Rome ain't built in a day. I mean, listen, I like Mark Davis. It's just the dumbest quote. I can't imagine. I don't know what he was thinking. If it was Irsay that had said something, I'd accuse him of something else. But him, Mark Davis, I mean, come on, man. I expect a better quote from you than that. Just dumb. That was a dumb quote.
All right. They face the division rival Denver Broncos in Mile High. That is on Sunday. We will keep it rolling. We're going to college.
Sierra comes to town so it can distract them from the football game. But go ahead.
This guy. Can't take him anywhere. Paul Feinbaum joins the show next ahead of the latest rankings revealed tonight. The Keyshawn's Trojans have a legit shot at crashing the playoff party. Justin Jefferson had an all-time great catch, but was it the best catch we have ever seen? Don't miss that debate. Coming up.